Hello guys, today we are going to be doing the second episode of How to Scout. Today we are going to be focusing on picking the right tank. We are not going to be looking at all at the T71 or Tier 7s because I have already covered Tier 7s in the T71 tank review. So instead we are going to be doing Tier 4, there, Tier 5, Tier 6, and also Tier 8. So we'll probably look at 3 vehicles at a time. And out of the 3 that we look at, we'll pick the best scout out of those 3 and move on, keeping that one with it. So we have the Americans, the British, Germans. There's also 2 tanks that we can automatically take out of the running as scouts, the Valentine and the AT8. Not AT8, but the AMX-40. Yeah, AMX-40. So first we'll be looking at these 3 tanks, the Lucius Covenator and the M5 Stuart. So start with the Lucius. The first things you want to look at for a scout are their speed, traverse speed, signal range, and view range. All the other stuff doesn't really matter. Those are the 3 main things that you have to look at the start. And then you can start getting more nitpicky with your details and everything. So the Lucius and the Covenator both have 310, with the M5 having 340 hit points. Alright, that's nice to know, but isn't all that important. Speed limit, 60 for the Lucius, 50 for the Covenator, and 58 for the Stuart. Stuart has the best speed limit. Alright. 30 traverse speed, 38, 45. Stuart is the most maneuverable so far as what I've seen, because it has second best out of these 3, and it's only 2 behind the Lucius for speed. And then it also has substantially better traverse speed than either of the other 2. So it's the most maneuverable. Now we get down to view range and signal range. Everything in between doesn't matter. 330, 330, 370 for view range. So the M5 has the best view range already. And then 310 for signal range on the Lucius, 375, 615. Alright, so now out of these 3 tanks, Stuart is showing up to be the best. Now we'll put this down here and compare it to 3 more tanks. Frenchies don't have one. Russia has the A20 and the TA. Those there. China has the... Here, in fact, we're actually going to compare it to 4 other tanks just to save a little bit of time. China has the M5A1, which is almost the exact same thing to the M5 Stuart. It just has a different name than the M5, just so that, for simplicity's sake. Whoops. Alright, back to what we were talking about. Sorry, I had a little something I had to take care of. So now we have the four more tanks. M5 down there. T80 can go there, and the Keyho. Alright. Now let's see if the M5 is really the greatest Tier 4 scout, like it is so far showing up as being. A20, 72 speed limit, and traverse speed is 44. That's very good. The view range is 300 and signal range of 325. Those 2 things kill this as a scout. The M5 is substantially better with almost extra 100 meters and also signal range that's around 300 more meters better than that. So, nope. Let's do the keyhole. Alright, 50, 54. Alright, so it already is better traverse speed. 45 to 54. 340 view range, alright. 350 signal range. This, not as effective scout as the M5 with that limit in the signal range, because now you can't be as far away from your allies as you could be with the M5, and you can't be the first one to wherever you want to be with this tank because of that. So that's out. T80 maybe? T80 going to win? Alright. 45, 48. Alright, traverse speed is better. Speed limit not so much, it's a lot slower. Alright, view range and same crappy signal range. Signal range has a lot to do with scouting. If someone ever tells you anything else, they're wrong. M5A1? Come on, surely you're better than yourself. No, because these are two equal tanks, in my opinion. In real life, they're the exact same tank. But let's take a look at the tech tree in that last radio that this thing gets. Alright, yeah, they're the exact same tank. The only difference is the M5A1 here doesn't get a derp cannon and second turret. Well, it gets a second turret, but yeah, and then the view range is able to get close to the original M5 of the Americans. So M5 Stuart is the best tier 4 scout. And I honestly hate this tank, but yet it has one of the best win rates out of any vehicle in my garage. And it's also one of the few scouts I have a first class mastery badge in. I don't know how I got that, but I literally hate this tank. It's the bane of my existence. I don't know why it's the best scout, but I just don't like it. I'm able to scout a ton better with the T71, which is surprisingly about the same size. Alright, so let's move on to tier 5. Americans have the Chaffee. The British have the Crusader. Germans have the Leopard. Frenchies have the ELC-AMX. Whoops. Gotta get back to the tech tree. The Russians. I don't think the Russians have a tier 5 light tank. Tier 6 they do. Tier 5 they don't. The Chinese don't have a tier 5 light tank, and nor do the Japanese. So we have these 4 tanks to look at. Let's see if there's a common theme where the Americans have the best scout tank out of the 4 now. So let's see who has the best scout tank at tier 5. 60-33 for the Leopard. That's speed limit and traverse speed. Crusader has a 44 speed limit and 38 traverse speed. Leopard's already looking better. Chaffee 56 speed limit, alright, and a 42 traverse speed. Chaffee is looking very good here, because while that's slower than the Leopard, like I said before on the M5 and the, I think it was Blue Chips, the traverse speed is really going to matter when you only have a small separation, like 4 kilometers an hour. And then the ELC with a speed limit of 65. So it's already a lot faster than any other tank, but then that traverse speed is really getting to it, especially with that non-fully rotational turret. Because, oh yeah, I should probably do a recap of what I mentioned last episode now that I think about it. But the definition of scouting, which is what we covered last episode, is really just getting out there, spotting enemy tanks for your allies to shoot, and then also doing damage to them yourself with your gun. ELC has a powerful gun, but that traverse speed is really what's going to get it, because that turret doesn't go all the way around. Alright, so now let's look at the view range and signal range. Starting with the Leopard. 380 view range, 310 signal range. Alright, 340, 375, 370, and 395. But obviously that gets a lot better radio. All of these do. Whoops. And then you have a 360 and 300. This already has the best signal range, and it has the second best view range, giving the Chaffee pretty good standings, because then you can get the second turret. I think there's a second turret for the Chaffee. Yes, there is. Which has a view range of 400 meters, and the radio that this thing gets has a signal range of 745. That signal range is enough to see every single tank on your allied team, no matter where they are on any map. You'll be able to see them and see the things that they're spotting. So the Chaffee is the best tier 5 scout. So I'm already noticing a trend. The Americans have the best scouts. Alright, tier 6 we have the T-21 for the Americans. This will probably be the best. British don't have a tier 6 light tank. Germans have the VK-2801. French have the AMX 12-ton. I would like to point out a fact that I don't exactly think of any of the French tanks as scouts. None of them really do have scout-like features, and are more, in my opinion, other people may hold different views, the French tanks are really more light assault vehicles, and they will never... I don't know about the 12T, but the 1375 and the 1390 both will not be the best scout, because they both suck for scouting, in my opinion. The Chinese have the better tier 8 scout, I'll say that right now. So now, get another Chinese tier 6 light tank. They're back. And T-21, which honestly was probably the tank I was most excited to get back when I first got it. And I still love the T-21 today. It's a really nice tank in my opinion. Other people may hold different. So, like normal, we start out with engine power, the speed limit and traverse speed of each tank. So 60 and 42 for the VK, type tank, 5916, 60 and 52. So this is showing up as better than the Germans, which I'm not surprised about, and there's plenty of reason behind that. The Germans were better at building big, heavy machines with big guns. The French 12-ton, AMX 12-ton, 60 and 36. Well, that traverse speed, once again, not going to help a scout out at all. MT-25, this is getting a buff in the 9.1 update, and it's apparently going to be very close. Both of these tanks, the VK-2801 and the MT-25 here, both getting buffs, and this tank is apparently going to be similar to the old T50-2. It's apparently getting up to that kind of proportion, but the only difference is this is now a tier higher, which may or may not make it acceptable. So a speed limit of 72 and traverse speed of 44, that's pretty impressive. And then you have the T-21, the American light tank, with 56.3 and 58. So all of these, except for this tank and this tank, are pretty good. Now let's compare these three a little bit more detailed. Those two I already removed just because of their mobility and maneuverability. So yeah, I already said what is the better scout at tier 8, and I'll show you guys why, but if the video does hit 30 minutes by that point, I am recording my audio with a different program and going to edit it in, so it is giving me a minutes and seconds. But if that hits 30, then I'm going to stop the video, or at least if it's close. So signal range and view range now, 350 and 525 on the MT-25, 360 and 525 on the 5916, and 390 and 395 on the T-21. So now that signal range is worse than the other two. But in order to make an accurate decision, there is one thing that has to be done. We have to look at the final radios. And these may all be very similar, at which point this would be the best scout. Whereas this has the best view range, this has the third best, and it's also the most maneuverable. This might be a little bit better. I'd probably prefer a 5916 over an MT-25 any day. But back up to the MT-25, radio 730. Alright, so yeah, the MT-25 not so great, but who knows, that might be getting another buff. That radio might be getting buffed. And T-21, 745. So now we have brought it down to these two, and that's not that big of a difference. With both of them, you can pretty much see across any map by your allies. You'll pretty much be able to receive all of the information going on with this difference of just 5 meters. So out of these two, currently it looks like the Americans have the better scout once again. Tier 7, Americans, I've already covered that in a different video. And oh no, that's my service record. Now it's down to tier 8. This is not a scout. Don't use it as one. Well, you can if you really, really want to. But I do not recommend it. It's just not a scout-like tank because of that view range. That is terrible at this tier. Tier 7 scouts, the T-71 has a ton bigger view range than that. What map is it? On most maps with my T-71, I can actually see the entire map. If I were to sit in the middle of it, I could see the entire battlefield. So that view range of the AMX 1390 is just crap. Well, that's not much better. That's not better, but it's not worse. 20 meters won't make that much of a difference, and Chinese, I'm pretty sure, gets another turret. No, that's a medium. One tier too high. Yeah, Chinese gets a second turret. Second turret has that 400 meter view range. And this is just the better scout because of maneuverability and speed limit. Maneuverability, view range is the same, but the maneuverability is what really makes this tank the better tier 8 scout. But thank you guys for watching. This is a longer video, but I did forget to pause the audio recording at one point, so I will have to trim it down, and it should be a lot shorter than half an hour. But thank you guys for watching, and goodbye.